and welcome to episode three. It's three, right?
It's three.
Okay. Welcome to episode three of the Why Behind the Why podcast. I am Tyrell James,
I'm Dr. Nicole Thomas.
and today we are talking about the metaphysical explanations for attraction. So, this came about because you and I we were having a conversation last week about me being challenged by people. And
Yeah.
really, I was talking about like how, like, I was like, yo, why do people keep challenging me on things when I have the information already? I have the information. I'm providing the information. They don't have the information, but they still choose to challenge me. And then, of course, I was talking about the class that I was giving. Where I was, giving my health presentation, and then the woman decided to challenge me. And when I asked her, um, when I told her, I said, "Look, I can prove to you that I know what I'm talking about. Can you prove otherwise?" And she was like, "No, this is just what I think." I was like, "Yo, you know what? Like, cool." And I'm cool with that. I'm perfectly fine with somebody feeling differently than me. But
hmm
if I'm giving you information, I'm showing you, here it is right here. Here is tangible, here is tangible proof that I know what I'm talking about. And you're looking at this proof and saying, no, no, that's not what it is. Sometimes it can get a little frustrating, but for me, it got frustrating because it was interfering with progress. Because I was trying to teach a class here. I'm trying to teach a class, and as I'm trying to teach a class, I have you challenging me about things that really you shouldn't be challenging me on. But so when I was talking to you about that, and you reminded me that, why do you have your pen out? What are you doing? Are you taking notes?
You
So
already know, right? You already know, right?
so you you
I
made
love
me
that. Gotta address that.
you made me realize, and you reminded me that like attracts like, and that I am very much against the grain, very much rage against the machine. I don't, you can try to show me something, and I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it, because sometimes I just feel differently, or I just think
You're
differently.
pretty in it up. You're pretty. You like to fight. You like to fight. You like the debate. You like the fight. We
I
talk
do
about
like
this
to
all
debate and
the
fight.
time. Number one, I was so excited when you said to this topic, when you mentioned this topic, because this is what we do. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We get on the phone and this is what we do.
Yep.
It always goes into, um, it always goes there. It goes, into these deep conversations. So this just feels like home, number one.
Hmm.
So yeah, you just like to fight. You prettying it up and you making it sound all cute, but you like the fight, you like the debate, you like the um I'm gonna go this way. It's like, okay, come on, bring it. You like that energy, and it's okay. We talk about that all the time. It's okay to like that energy. You said something really great, and I'm going to address it later. I ain't going to address it right now. I'm going to let you know what we're going to address. You said it interferes in the process. And we're going to talk about how it's interfering in the process, how it's interfering in your process, how it really is interfering in your growth because you think it's them.
Hmm.
You think they're interfering.
They are.
But
They are.
okay, but we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that because you're gonna see how you're interfering in your process with that energy. But okay, so um, let's talk about the law first before we go deep into. Let's talk about the basis of the law before we go into individual situations. So the law of attraction simply says what's inside will manifest on the outside of you. What's inside of you in energy will manifest on the outside of you. It has many names. They call it the law of mirror. They call it sowing and reaping. It has many names. It means the same thing. What you sow, you will reap. What's on the inside of you will show up on the outside of you. And we're talking about in feelings, emotions, and intent. So we're not talking about actions, we're talking about feelings, emotions, and intent. So for example, if you have anger within you, then situations have to come out on the outside of you to show you that you are sending out the energy of anger, and anger has to show up on the outside of you. There's a Bible scripture that I love. I probably say it every podcast. I don't care. It says it the best, and it's as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, or as a man thinketh in his heart, so shall it be. And that's truly what it is. Whatever the feeling is, the real, the true, the heart. That's the true emotion, the true thought, the true belief, the truth of it. It's going to be, doesn't matter, it's going to be whatever you believe it to be, or created to be. So I just wanted to go over the basis of that particular law. So if anybody did not understand it, know it, that's the basis of the law.
Right. So basically, it forces you to take accountability
It's
because
always us. It's
yeah,
always us. It's never the other person. It's never the situation. It's always you. You draw to yourself what you are. You draw to yourself what you are. Scientifically proven that we're energy. Biblically, it's proven that we're energy. In the Hebrew Bible, it says the energy of God hovered over the water in Genesis. So that's biblically, that's scientifically, that we're energy. So energy attracts like energy, and it's always us because we're drawing to ourselves what we are, and whoever. Everything is always duality. I was taught by my teacher, Dr. Nick, that everything is duality. So you attract what you are, and they're attracting what they are. It's duality. It's the same. So the action and the behavior may be different. Let's say that their actions and their actions, how it's played out, the things that they do may be very, very different than what you do. But the core reason why we do what we do, the core emotion behind why we're doing what we're doing is what we share. I need to say that. So for example, I never forget. I was early in this journey, and I called I called my master teacher and I said, hey, um, I said, okay, like attracts like, and I was talking about, my daughter's father and then my ex-husband. I was like, I am nowhere like them. I don't lie. I'm not me. I went down the list. I was like, so how did I attract them? And she reminded me and said, it's not in actions. Then back then, you didn't love yourself. You had not learned to love yourself, and they didn't learn. They never learned to love themselves. So two people having the energy of not loving themselves drew each other to each other, and that's how we got together. Now, how it played out was different. Theirs were, they may lie, or they may do this, or they may do that. Mine was that I tried to make everything had to be perfection. I had to be right, power, I had control issues, you know what I mean? So mine played out differently than theirs, but still same energy.
mhm,
The core of why we did what we did was the same. So it's not in actions. I want to stress that because that can get construed. It's not in actions. It's the energy behind why we're doing what we're doing. So you got to find that feeling, you got to find that emotion. So, for example, what we were talking about with you, because you was expressing how you always seem to come up with situations where people want to buck up against you or they want to challenge what you say. Um, and it was funny because we talked about this several times even before this conversation. So you were really frustrated and you wanted to know why they keep challenging. And we discovered during our talk that a lot of times it's the same energy. So we have you, and you'll say, it's always like ready to fight, ready to go, ready. You know what I'm saying? What you going to do? Kind of like I got this. I know what I'm talking about. I got this. I know the energy. You're like ready to go. And we were talking about how that she actually mimicked the same energy, if you remember. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like she was literally mimicking the same energy,
Which
the
was
same
weird because that's not her person. Well, she's never shown to me that that's her personality.
that she
Like
was mimicking.
that was my first time ever seeing that side of her. And it wasn't confrontational.
No,
It wasn't. She was just challenging me. That's it.
and you're not confrontational to
Yeah,
some
you're right.
degree.
You're right. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I I become confrontational when confrontation is brought to me, and I feel as though I can't avoid confrontation without confrontation. But you're right. When it comes to the initial confronting a situation, no, I'm not confrontational.
Right. It's not
You're
like
right.
you're
You're right.
going out trying to find a fight or disagreement.
Right.
It,
Right.
it's not like it's not that, but it is that. So regardless, we talk about this all the time. So in our circle, it might not even be what you're aware of. So sometimes we have situations that happen in our lives that make us feel a certain kind of way, right?
Mhm.
And we'll put it in a box, we'll put a lid over it, and we won't deal with it. But the energy is still within us. It's because we're not dealing with it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So let me ask you, why do you feel why do you like the fight? Why do you like the challenge?
So I like the challenge. I like the fight because I feel like that's where new ideas are born. The thing is, when you have a bunch of people who all agree,
Hmm.
first of all, I don't want to live in that world because then, and I believe we've had this conversation. We may have even had this conversation on this podcast, but at that point, there's no reason for certain words. There's no reason for the word like innovator, creator, surprise, amazing. Because there's no reason for any of these words because everything is the same. So
Hmm.
at some point, things have to change. You cannot grow without change. And
Okay.
so when the machine is what it is, and
Hmm.
everybody agrees and is just going along with what the machine is, at some point that machine needs to grow. At some point, the people who are part of the machine and the thinking of the people that are surrounded by the machine or have anything to do with the machine, that thinking has to grow. And in order
Okay.
for that to grow, something has to change. So at that point, I do become the rage against the machine. At that point, I do go against the grain because, first of all, I am not wherever the crowd goes. I'm not going that way. If everybody says let's go left, I'm like, all right, whatever. Let me tell you why it's better to go right. And if you want to come, then cool. If not, then and see, but see, that's the other part of my personality. Yes, I will go against the grain, but I don't try. And this is where I think it gets a little tricky when we're talking about the word fight.
Hmm.
I don't try to force anybody to think or feel or do the things that I do. I'm not trying to. It's like, here, this is the reason I'm not going to do what y'all are doing. You can come join me over here if you want. And if not, so be it. I'm going to keep doing it this way. But at that point, it's not necessarily a fight until when I say I'm going to go right, and they're like, no, you're coming left with us. And then it's like, well, make me go left then. Make me go left. I mean, so, and of course, now I've become confrontational. Yes, yes. Now here's the fight. So maybe there's a better way for me to handle that part.
So
But
if you know that you have the ability to go whatever way you desire, um, regardless of what a person says, then why does it become a fight? Why not just go the way that you're going to go?
well, okay. Let me go back to what I said. It's not always a fight. It's a fight if there's something to fight for. So let's say, let's say I have this vision, and in order
Hmm.
for me to accomplish this goal,
Hmm.
I may need some of those people who are going left to come right with me.
I love this. I love
So
what you
yeah, you making me feel like I done walked into something now. All right, you can got my back against the wall. So I don't even know how my back's against the wall, but just based off your reaction just now, you're telling me I just probably put my back against the wall and I'm gonna
said.
fight my way out, by the way. But anyway, so
But you know, I welcome. It's like, come on, because it's not a fight to me. This is just a conversation.
I know it's not. Yeah.
And I love the I love the educated way that you answered me. We're gonna stop having conversations before this podcast, and we're gonna have them up here because you giving me back some stuff that I gave you. We ain't about to do that. But I love what you just said. I love what you just said. So what you said was, if I have a vision, and if I have a vision and I need them to follow my vision, that's when I have, there is some, and there's resistance. That's when the problem becomes a problem. But if it's your vision, them not following your vision, how is that a problem for you? It's your vision. You're the only one that can follow your vision. And if we're going to use the law, then the law says like attracts like. That means then if they're not the people to follow my vision, my people will come. The people with like energy will show up for me because like attracts like, and those that are on that frequency and that vibration will come and they will join it. If that means if they're fighting against it, they're not your people.
You're good at this, yo. You're good.
So you try to bring, and it happens all the time because we've kind of been taught that people are supposed to be a certain way. They're supposed to act a certain way. They're supposed to do. It happens a lot in all kinds of relationships, in work relationships, and business relationships, and personal relationships. We want a person to be what we want them to be. We want them to act how we want them to act. But a lot of times, so like attracts like. When you first meet that person, there might be some like energy there. Well, it ain't. It might. There's like energy there because you guys attracted each other to each other for a reason. But once that reason is no longer, or once the energy has shifted, somebody grows there, or somebody, I won't even say grow because grow implies that something is more than another. But if somebody changes their energy to another place, then you're no longer a vibrational match. So it's going to be where they're going to go to the left and you're going to go to the right. Them old people knew. Oh, I understand now. Those old people knew a lot. You didn't understand what they were saying. But you know how the old people used to say, oh, they just outgrew each other.
Hmm.
Oh, we just outgrew each other. that in the sense of the law, it makes so much sense because you can, again, that word grow is tricky, but I understand what they were saying. And what they were saying is we're no longer a vibrational match. We're no longer when we first got there, it was working. We was in rhythm, we was in vibration. But now we're no longer a vibrational match, and anything that you're not a vibrational match to, it's not. It's like two people talking foreign language. It's one person on 95.5 and the other one's on 93.9 or 93.3. 93.9.
At
Yeah,
3.9. Yeah.
yeah. It's two different radio stations.
Mhm.
Y'all can't even understand. Y'all have, you can't understand what another one is listening to
Mhm.
because you're on two different stations. So trying to make somebody come over there with you is you're gonna always fight. You're gonna always fight. And then it's gonna be a fight to do what it is that you want to do because y'all are talking two different languages. Y'all on two different radio stations. They're not understanding what you saying and you're not understanding what they're saying. So you're trying to explain to them your point, your way, the way that you want to do it, your vision, and they can't even hear you. And you're frustrated because they can't hear you, but it's not even there. It's not anything to be frustrated over because they're on a different station. So it's recognizing that the way that this wonderful world works, the way that God created this world is wonderful. Because if you know the law and you live within the law, then it's easy. Who I need to do what I need to get done will come to me. Like attracts like. All I got to do is sit back and know. Sit back and know that they're going to come. And then we're going to know that we found each other because we're going to be in rhythm. We're going to talk the same language. We're going to understand what each other is saying. We're going to flow. There's a flow to it.
Mhm.
Anytime you have to fight, anytime there has to be combativeness, anytime. Now, there are times where people are ready to hear what you have to say and it expands them. You made a great point. You made a great point. It does cause expansion. So when we talk, we both are being expanded because there's concepts and thoughts that are being giving and put on the table, and we both get a chance to grow from that. But we're ready because we're on the same station. So, but that's different than I want you to think what I think, or I want you to do what I want you to do. That's totally different. That's when we talk about interfering in the process. Because now you're interfering in your own progress by trying to make somebody do something that you want them to do or make them understand the way that you're thinking or the way that you are moving when they can't. They have no
Well,
concept.
it wasn't just that I wanted her to like. I was fine with her not agreeing. I just wanted her to shut up so that I could continue teaching this class.
But we have to talk about how she got there. How did you manifest her in your life? How did she get into that classroom? Because even when we're talking, it can be a million people. It can be a million people. You can stand up and at a event and speak to a million people, and a million people have a like energy to you because you drew them to you, and they, and vice versa. So you all drew each other to each other. There's like energy. So how did you attract her into your life? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you attracted her. How did she make you feel?
Um, you mean when she was challenging me? How did she make me feel?
Yes. And no pretty stuff, like for real. Like no pretty stuff. Don't
No,
pretty it up.
I feel like no. She was when she questioned me about it. Like I said, I was fine with her questioning me about it. I just felt like it was interfering with what I was trying to teach the group. So I had to take time out to stop and have this conversation with her where she's like, no, I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'm like, well, here's the proof, and if you can give me proof, then go ahead and give me proof. But at the same time is ticking. I'm watching the clock the entire time I'm teaching this group. I'm watching the clock because I know I have a certain amount of time that I have before this class is over. I have a certain number of things that I need to get to before this class is over. So now I'm having to take time out of the plan to now
Mm-hmm.
address this. So that means that I may not get a chance to get something out, or I may have to rush through something. It could also mean somebody else could have a question that may not now get answered because I've had to take time out to address this thing that really should not have been addressed. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't have been addressed. But
That was so nice what you said, but let's go back to it. How did it make you feel? I need to get to, can we get to the feelings? I want feeling words. I want emotions. They kind of teach us to stay away from our emotions, and a lot of times, because we're not in touch with our emotions, we can't adequately find out what's really going on with us. Because if you're going to sow an emotion and you're going to get it back, if you can't find that emotion, then it's hard to find out why you got what you got going on outside
Mhm.
of it. So I want you to think about what I'm saying. I want you to take a minute and find the feeling, find the emotion. So I want you to give me the
Frustration.
emotion. Frustration.
Yeah,
Good, good. Give me
yeah.
another.
I think that was it because I wasn't
Frustrated.
angry. Yes, I wasn't angry. I definitely wasn't happy, but I was. But I think that's the only one. I think that's the only emotion that I can think of.
Frustrated because it made me feel.
Frustrated because it made me feel like I had to address something that I shouldn't have been addressing at that moment.
When I say that, I want an emotion. It made me feel.
I know you do. But see, the thing is, I don't, I, I don't know another emotion to
You
attach
do. You
to
do.
frustration.
You do. But come, give me another one. You have. There's more emotions there. Let's dig. Let's dig a little deeper. Can we dig a little deeper?
We can.
I
I
mean,
don't know if we're going to find anything else though.
but let's go on. We'll go on frustration. Okay. We'll go on
Okay.
frustration. So it made you feel frustrated.
Hmm.
Okay. So when you were talking to this woman, what she said to you made you feel frustrated. Where in your life are you frustrated?
Oh boy. um, a few places. You good. You were good. Um, yeah, a few places. Okay, so now let me say, without going into all of those places, because some of that stuff's personal, but without going into all of those places, let me see if I can pinpoint part of my life where I'm frustrated that could be directly connected to her challenging me.
Well,
Uh,
it may not be directly. It's just her. You drew her because she's an emotion that you share.
hmm
So if like attracts like, that means I have the emotion and she has the emotion.
hmm
So you share an emotion. So I'm just asking you to go in with where you're like, where you're frustrated, because if you understand that there is frustration that exists with you without you even going into your personal bed,
hmm
if you understand that she showed up to show you that that's there.
hmm
So it's not that she's doing it to you. She's actually a part of your program. She's a beautiful part of your program because she showed up to let you know that there's frustration that exists within you, because she could not show up if it wasn't within you, if it wasn't present and active. Let's
hmm
say it that way. If it wasn't present and active within you, she could not show up. She's showing up as your gift. She's your gift. She's showing up to let you know, hey, I'm here. I'm frustration and I'm here. So then it doesn't become personal. It's nothing she's doing to you. It's she's showing up to show you that I'm here. I
Mhm.
exist within you. So if you go in and you find out where you're frustrated at and you fix it and you change that vibration, she can no frustration can no longer, we're gonna call her frustration. Okay?
Okay.
Not the personal, but the energy.
Hmm.
Frustration can no longer show up. She's only showing up. Frustration is only showing up to show you that frustration is still within you. It's active and present within you.
Okay. So I guess the question now becomes, you know, it's hard. Okay, so it's hard to just go through life without running into any type of frustrating situations, right?
But you was right because guess what? You said something that hits it. I mean that help that is that expands you. It shows you what you don't want, right?
Hmm.
So it's not a bad thing that frustration shows up. I think it's a gift. You can look at it, everything is perception. Everything is perception. You can look at it as that was a bad thing that I attracted frustration. I beg to differ. From my perspective, frustration showing up was a wonderful thing because how do you know frustration exists within you unless it showed up? If you have frustration there and whatever frustrated you, you didn't want to deal with it. Say you didn't want to deal with it. Say that frustration is something that you just don't want to address. You put it in a box like we do, right? And we don't deal with it. We put the top on and we say, we're not dealing with that. I ain't dealing with that. And you choose not to see it. We do it all the time. And you choose not to see it. How do you know? Because we'll lie to ourselves. We're good at that. We've been taught how to lie to ourselves.
Hmm.
How do you know frustration exists unless she shows up to tell you?
Right. So, but no, what I'm saying is, I don't, I don't feel as though I volunteer for frustration. I feel as though situations happen and the situations lead me to being frustrated. Now, let's say that I was to all of the areas in my life right now, right? Let's say that all the areas in my life where frustration exists. So let's say that I go and I get rid of the frustration or I fix whatever situation and now there's no longer any frustration there, right? That does not mean that I'm going to live the rest of my life without being faced with situations that are frustrating me. So is it so now I guess the question is it that me fixing the issues that are frustrating me, is that handling it on a surface level? Does that mean that this isn't necessarily about this situation and this situation? This is about the frustration that is inside of me. So now I need to figure out how to fix that
There
and
you
figure out
go.
where that came from. But let's say that I can pinpoint where all of that frustration inside of me has come from and I address it. Does that now mean that I'm going to live the rest of my life and no longer be faced with a situation that is going to frustrate me?
Well, I can't say that. I think there's layers to this thing. I think there's layers. So there's been times where I'll have a situation, and if I can pinpoint one right away, I'll do it. But there's self love. Let's go on self love because that's a situation that I was faced with. So as I begin to learn to love myself, it was a progress. It was a progress. It was so I remember having a situation, and I'm trying to think of what that situation is. But what it did was I was like, dog, I thought I fixed that, but it was another layer. It was another layer. So what we'll find is that there's layers to situation, and it takes time. When you've been doing something a certain way for a very, very long time, it doesn't just go away right there. It's our brains are like computers. So they're It's almost like it's like road maps it's like roads that's in our brain, right?
Mhm.
Brain is a very, very, very powerful thing. And the thoughts that you think create, especially the ones you think all the time, create a road. And it's like you just constantly go through that same road, constantly go through that same road. So when you decide that, oh, I need to go down a new road, that your brain is almost like the computer. We'll call it the computer, right? And a program. So that computer program is going to keep taking you down the same road, same road. It's going to keep taking you down that road. And you say, okay, now I need to put a new program in this thing. Well, you put the new program in, which is the new thought. And that program is going to reject it. It's going to reject it. No, we're going down this road. That's not the program. And you have to keep putting the new programs in and keep putting it in and keep putting it into the program takes. And that means, and that's what we call when we say retraining the brain, when you
Mhm.
creating new thoughts. So you can give yourself a new thought and you be like, and the old thought comes right back up. Give yourself a new thought. The old thought comes right back up. You have to keep giving yourself the new thought until it takes and it becomes the dominant thought. So you going in and finding it makes you aware of it. It makes you, okay, I know where this comes from. It's aware. So when that energy comes, you say, no, we're not going down that road. I know what you are.
Mhm.
And you can shift it because now you are aware of it. But we're not talking about hocus pocus magic where you find it and just disappears. No, you have to do the work. And the work is to be able to shift the energy. Oh no, I know who you are. Your frustration. I know where you came from. Nah. And then you switch it. And you become aware of what you think. You become aware of your emotions. And you become aware of what's causing them and being able to switch them.
Okay. So, all right. Now I want to go back to the beginning when I was talking about being when I was using all the words like creator, innovator, things like that. So some of the greatest creators in whatever area have been the ones that saw what everybody else was doing and decided to do it differently. They went
Okay.
against the grain. They went against the grain, and then they excelled. They excelled, and that's when it's like it's that pyramid. That you have a bunch of people at the bottom that are all doing the same thing. You got this one person or these couple of people that are up at the top, that chose to do it differently, but because of that, they rose above everybody. They did what
Okay.
everybody else could not do,
Okay.
which is why the higher up it gets, the smaller it gets, because everybody ain't built for that incline. So if if me going against the grain, if me recognizing what everybody else is doing is, even though it may be working for them, that's not going to work for me because I'm not okay with being part of the crowd. So that means I have to go against the grain. Now, does that mean that, because I feel like that's something that I never want to check. I never want to get rid of that. That's all. I mean, that's just who I am, and that's who I am. It's who I choose to be, and that's who I love to be.
Okay.
I also believe it contributes to a large part of me being successful in the areas that I'm successful.
Okay.
So, um, at this point, how do I handle that? Because I always want to continue to go against the grain. I'm never going to go along with the crowd.
I
At this
think the
point,
whole
it's like I know that I'm going to be challenged. And especially after that conversation that you and I had about this, I am now a lot better with being challenged because I understand where it's coming from. But I guess my question to you is, are you saying that I should change that? I should change that aspect of my thinking. That like
what
maybe I should go ahead.
what
I'm
I'm
sorry.
everything is perspective. So just the fact that you think that you're going against the grain will cause that to come back to you. It'll um, that because going against the grain is saying that I am they're here and I'm going to do something different. And it's the acknowledgement of that. It's that I'm going to pay attention to that. And what you give your attention to is what you create. So what I'm saying to you is it's perspective. I'm not saying no. I'm the same way. I don't do what everybody else do. I can tend to be the oddball out of groups. You know what I mean? And that's okay. But for in my perspective, I can only be me, and I'm just going to do me. And it's okay for them to do them. It's okay for me to do me. It's okay for them to do them. And it goes back to what you said, you
Mhm.
know. So
I'm sorry, there's a woodpecker that is going to town right outside my window right now. I mean, he's just, I'm surprised you can't hear him. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
and you know we're gonna look up the woodpecker when we get off here, right?
You said, look up what?
We're gonna look up
The
the
metaphysical explanation for woodpeckers?
you know it. You already know we gotta do. It's knocking at you. We got to find out what message it came to bring you.
Right.
It came to bring you a message. So, and it's probably this confirmation. I just can't wait. I can't wait because it's probably confirmation. I love God. I love God. I love God. But no, by no means am I saying to not expand and not to grow or to go the way everybody else is going because I don't believe that you should. They taught us to march to the beat of everybody else, but that's not you being your authentic self. We are all pieces of God manifested in flesh, and God is having an experience through each and every last one of us. And it's a different experience through each and every one of us. And the minute you go and follow their drum, you've gotten off your square. You've gotten off your square. If you're marching to somebody else's beat, you cannot authentically be you. You're marching to their beat, you're not marching to your own. What I'm saying is the perspective is for me is I get to be me. I get to be authentically me, think the thoughts that I think, do the things that I want to do it how I see it. And people with like energy will be drawn to me.
Mhm.
Okay. And the people that have a different perspective, a different energy, and the way they see it, there's nothing wrong with that either. They get to have their thoughts, how they do it, how they see it. They get to have it the way and it's nothing wrong with that. We get to have two totally different perspectives, two totally different ideologies, two totally different ways, and it's okay. And who I am a vibration to, we will attract each other, and who they're a vibration to, they will attract each other, and it's all good. I don't have to fight against anything. I can just be. There's a scripture that says, if you, oh, hold up, if I lift, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto thee. If I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto thee. Now, growing up, that was always perceived if you lift Jesus up, Jesus will draw all men unto it. But we're talking about everything in the Bible is written as parables, okay? It was parables. I'm a piece of God, you're a piece of God, they're a piece of God. If I lift the God up in me, I'm going to draw like energies of God to me. I'm not going to draw the same person because can't nobody be me, but I'll draw like energies unto me. The light gods, the people that have the like energies, we share the like energies. I'm going to draw them unto me,
Mhm.
and vice versa. So I never have to look at them and say, no, do it my way. I never have to look there and say, you're wrong, you should be doing it this way. Because they're doing it the way they should do it, and I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it. and I don't have to fight anything.
Okay, so all right, I'm glad you said fight. Is going against the grain considered a fight?
I don't
Or
consider
does
going
it
against
change?
the grain fight, but when I'm looking at a person and saying that they're wrong, you should do it my way, or you should follow me, or you should um I think that that can be combative. So to take, and that's energy. And that's energy that I mean, we all have our moments where we're going to participate in things, but it's being aware that that's what we're doing. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
you could have been dropping a seed in her, and right now she could have been just being combative, but she showed up to show you. She showed up because here's the deal: if she can do something to you, so is it your knowing or belief, or is it your knowing that you are a piece of God?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're a piece of God, can somebody do something to you? And if somebody can do something to you, is that a place of weakness or is that a place of strength?
Can you put that question another way?
Okay.
Because and well, let me say this first. I I don't know how to answer that because I think I need more information for
So
with the question.
let me put it another way then.
Okay.
I can do that. So let me give you to it from my perspective. I am a piece of God, okay?
Hmm.
And the God that's within me and the God that I serve is all things. Nobody can do anything to me because if anybody could do something to me, that would put me in a place of weakness. That means I have no choice. That means I'm not the creator, and God is the creator of all things. If somebody can do something to me, that means I'm subject to what they can do to me. I'm subject to them. To me, that's a place of weakness. That's how I was taught. But
So
if hold on, let me tell you the opposite piece of it.
okay.
But if I go based on the law, which means like attracts like, that's a place of power because that means I'm not subject to what anybody can do to me because I'm only drawing them to me. And by me drawing them to me, everything I draw to me, that means I can change it. See, if they're doing it to me, I can't change them. But if I drew them to me and like attract like, and I attracted them to me, that means I stand in the place of being able to look at myself, go inside, change whatever I got going on. If I want to see something else outside of me, that's a place of power. That means I'm not subject to anybody else. I'm only subject to myself. It is me. I am the creator of my own reality because I'm a piece of God and God is the master creator of all things, which is a place of power. If I attract something I don't like, I take responsibility that I freaking attracted it. And I get to change what I attract by saying, okay, how do I attract? How did I attract that? And I go in and find it, and then I change it, and I can no longer attract that. It's always me.
Hmm. So like I know what I want to ask, but two things. I'm trying to figure out the best way to ask it. And then also I really feel like if I ask this question, I'm gonna feel like I just shit and stepped in it. So
No, you don't have to feel that way because we're sharing number one. Number two, it's When I'm talking to anybody, I'm talking to myself.
Okay.
My master teacher taught me that a long time ago. Anytime you're talking to anybody else, you're talking to yourself.
Okay.
So
Check
you
this out.
never have to feel that way.
Okay. So somebody who is not a thief, they've never stolen anything before in their life, right? Like me,
Hmm.
I've never stolen anything,
Hmm.
anything in my life. Um, but somebody was to rob. I feel like that was something that was done to me. I don't feel like there was any type of energy or any type like what is it about me that has attracted that particular thing?
I love that you asked that because remember, it's not the action; it's the why they did what they did. The
Okay.
why behind the why, the
Right.
why behind the why. It's never the action. So when you
So,
look at the
so
action, when you look at the action, so let's give a scenario that's real. Give me a scenario that's real so we can find it. I mean, we can go with it. We can go with the made up ones. So like say the robber felt like
that's not
he
made up. That's not
okay,
made up. I
okay.
have had someone try to rob me. So um they so what is it? So like I understand what you're saying about it not being the action, but what is the energy? What is the energy there that I gave off that attracted that to me?
How did it make you feel? Them trying to rob you of this. Whew, this about to be good.
I didn't make me I felt like I wanted to knock their head off. That's how I felt.
So it's
I was angry.
you was angry. Okay, you was angry. I love it. I love it. So where in your life are you angry? Or was? Because
But
that
how is that attracting if so what did they do? So I guess this is where I'm confused about that. If the anger is the issue and the anger attracted something,
anger,
right?
anger.
But
That
it
means
was but that doesn't mean it was anger that tried to get them to rob me. They
what
didn't do
I'm
that
saying
out of anger.
is, how do you know?
Well, true. They may have done it out see, I stepped in it. I just realized it. I told you I felt like I was about to shit and step in it, and that's exactly what I did. Okay, so now if I go back and I see where when I go back to the time when it happened, yes, I was angry about some things in my life. So now here's the connection to the, oh my gosh, you know what? I gotta be careful about doing shows with you because you anyway. Look, so but you know what though? Actually, I'm gonna bring it home in a second. So, but they could have been in a situation where they're lacking and they're angry about their situation. So,
Hold. Stay right there for a second, because that was the first energy that I felt during the whole conversation. Lack in your life right then when that happened. Was there some lack? Did you feel any type of
yeah,
lack?
yeah. But so we're
Like,
turning lack into an emotion now, into a feeling.
how does lack make you feel? Lack is an energy. Lack is
Okay,
a
okay.
huge energy.
I see.
You
Okay, I'm with you.
you
Okay.
know, so if you're feeling lack and you're sending that in the universe, situations that has to show up in your like people, like situations have to show up outside of you to show or to keep bringing that feeling of lack,
Hmm.
because what you sow you reap, and if you don't fix it you'll keep bringing situations to make you feel that. So you somebody can give you $1 million. If you feel lack, somebody can hand you $1 million. If lack exists within you and that energy is running in you, then that $1 million will go just like that, because that's the energy within you. So it's coming to show you it's there, and it will come. So it keeps coming and keeps coming to bring the same energy. That's why it's important for us to understand what we feel and know what we're putting out, because it can exist in a way that makes us feel something that we don't want to feel, but it can also exist in a way in situations where we want to feel. So if you want to feel joy and you have a situation that makes you feel joyful, you're putting that out, and situations have to keep coming to make you feel joyful. So it's a beautiful thing. It's not a negative thing. It's really a gift. It's just understanding it and making sure that you are minding how you're feeling and the things that you're choosing, because the things that you're choosing is going to bring upon a feeling. If you're enjoying what you're doing, enjoy it to the uttermost. If you're not, don't participate it, because what you're participating in is going to bring upon a feeling. If you stay in that feeling, it's going to bring like feelings, like emotions.
So what I just realized, this is me bringing it home now. Everything that you're telling me, I already knew this because like attracts like. And this is what I have attracted to me. You showed up to show me that I already knew all of this stuff.
There you go. Just a
Yeah.
reminder. It's simply a reminder. Simply, sometimes we have to be reminded. I have to be reminded a lot. So simply
Mhm.
reminder.
So now I'm never going to stop going against the grain, but I do now understand that there are going to be times where I am the grain and people will go against me. And it's fine. It's okay. Because the other side of that is I really don't mind being challenged. It was at that moment and in other moments when I say I feel like it's interfering with progress. Like I said, I had a group that I was teaching. I have a certain amount of time that I have to get these things out. So having to stop and address these things, that was irritating to me. And it was, like I said, it was interfering with progress. But the other side to this is I don't mind being challenged. I don't mind being questioned because number one, I could be wrong in what I'm saying. And if I'm wrong, I'm open to being wrong and I'm open to being corrected because that's where growth is. When when you're able to learn new things, or even when you're able to realize that you were wrong about something and then change your thinking, change your perception on something, now you're able to learn and grow from that. And of course, I'm always open to learning and growing, always.
Do you
But
believe that this conversation was challenging? Do you believe this conversation was combative?
no, not at all. Not at
Did
all.
you grow?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
can you have those moments and can you have those opportunities without combativeness and without um so-called going against the grain? Did you go against the grain today? Or was it a conversation?
I didn't go against the grain today, but see, I also know who's on the other side here. You see, you're not going to present this in a way where I'm going to have to challenge you. Well, I take that back because you have said things that I have challenged. Um,
The whole podcast.
I'm talking about other conversations. I wasn't even talking about today because today it wasn't so much about me challenging you. It was about me asking the questions to get to where we need to go.
Right.
Uh,
So
but
can you grow that way? My question then comes, can you grow in that way?
yes, I can.
And
But
is that going against the grain?
no, it's not. However,
So can
you're
you
not combative.
have what you're looking for without the energy of combativeness and going against the grain? Can you just have
Yes,
a conversation and promote growth?
yes, when the other party is like you. But I also understand that everybody's not going to be like you. Some people are going to come and they're going to be very combative. And if they are, and
Now,
I don't,
if
huh?
they come and they're combative, why is that?
Because I made them show up. I get it. I know. I attracted them. Whatever. Okay. But sometimes I feel like some things got to show up. Some people got to show up because you have to, and they have to show up the way they're going to show up, even if it's combative, because there are some people who sometimes I need you to show up a certain way so I can hand you this olive branch because that's the relationship. And this other hand is a sword. Sometimes I need you to show up so I know whose neck to cut.
That's a perspective, and you can keep it. But my perspective to that is that they have to show up because I drew them to me so that I could see what was inside of me. So they become my program, and they're part of my program, and they're part of my greatness. They're part of my growth. They showed up to show me me, and because they showed up to show me me, then I can then look at them and say, "Oh, do I like that, or do I not like it?" And if I don't like it, I can go in and then fix it. So they're only ever coming to show me me. And they're my program. They're literally my program. Now it's duality, I'm their program. So they have to figure out why I showed up for them, because it's duality. But
Mhm.
it's my job to find out why they showed up for me. And when I find out why they showed up and I say, well, okay, I like it or I don't like it. If I don't like it, that means I have work to do. I have the work to do because that means I need to change the energy. I need to find it and change it. How did I draw them? How did they get there? And when I find that out, then I can fix it.
Um, I think sometimes I need them to show up a certain way because I need to know who they are. I need them to show up.
They are you and you are them.
If
So meet
not,
yourself.
see,
You're meeting you. You meeting you. You might not like the you that you're meeting at that moment. You might not like it, but the reality is you're meeting yourself. And if you don't like it, change you so that you're no longer able to draw that outside of you. Fix it in you. If you fix it in you, you can no longer see it outside of you.
that's something I'm gonna really have to sit with a lot because, and I hear you, I hear you, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I
Well,
just need to sit with it more in order for it to really, really not necessarily sink in, but for me to actually accept every part of that. Because as I think about some of the people that I've come across, and I understand what you're saying about the like attracting like, and it's not always about the action.
it's never about the action.
Okay, that right, that it's never about the action, but I also believe that the other side of that is sometimes you need you need a person to show up as who they are so that you know how to proceed. Like I need to I know that if a harmless black snake comes into my yard, as much as I don't like snakes, but I know if a harmless black snake comes into my yard, then that's exactly what it is. It's harmless. But if a poisonous snake shows up, now that harmless black snake, I may be able to just ignore it and it may
Mhm.
go away, it may not go away, but the fact of the matter is it's there and it's harmless. But if a poisonous snake shows up in my yard, I got to kill that. So I need you to reveal yourself. I need you to show up in a way where I see exactly who you are so that I know how to proceed. Because some people need, and this, I'm just speaking hypothetically here. I'm not, um, I mean, this isn't, I didn't mean to say hypothetical. This is figurative. This isn't literal. Some people need to get their heads cut off. Same way you got to cut off the head of the snake. Some of these people show up as snakes, and they got to get their heads cut off. And I
And I'm
need
not
them to show
telling
up that
you,
way. But I don't see where because I don't do people dirty. I don't snake people. So for me, it's never mind. I see where you're gonna go with this. Never mind.
you're back to the action. I'm not.
I know. That's why I stopped. That's why I stopped.
Yeah, I'm not telling you not to cut the snake head off. I'm not telling you not to protect yourself. I'm telling you that once you protect yourself and now you're safe, find out how you drew that to you. How did that snake? How did it make you feel? If it made you feel fearful, where's fear at within you? You know,
Right.
if it made you feel like, revert back to the little boy and there's nothing I can do, and then how, you got to find out how it made you feel, and the energy, so that you can fix the energy, and then that black snake can't show that the poison is not going to show up in your life until you fix it.
Mm. I lost you. I don't know if you can still hear me, but you are
Yeah,
frozen.
I can hear you. We're back.
Oh,
We're
okay.
back.
All right. Yeah, yeah. You froze for a second. The
Yeah.
last thing I heard you say was the black snake.
But the black poisonous state, I'm not saying not to protect yourself. Cut the head off, protect yourself. But
Hmm.
then go and find out how and why it showed up. Why did you show? How did it make me feel? Did it make me feel like fearful? Did it make me feel like I have no choice? It's nothing I can do. How does it make you feel? And find out where in your life that is happening and change it. Reteach yourself. Give yourself another thought. Reteach yourself so that that energy can't come to you anymore. It's just an energy. It's just the energy showing up to show you what's there within you. I know they taught us how to, it's that. They taught us that it's the other person or it's that situation and we're subject to. That's what they taught us. But if you keep there, that means you're always subject to something else again. So if you can keep it, you can keep it, and that's a place of powerless. Oh, they did it to me. That means you can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? If somebody's doing something to you, there's nothing you can do about it. But when you understand and take your rightful place as a piece of God, then that means it's nothing that anybody can do to me. You can only come to show me. I'm not subject to you. I'm not subject to you.
Hmm. Okay. We are at an hour and 6 minutes. Oh, hour 7 minutes now. So I want to go ahead and end this, but I feel like there's so much more that needs to be said because now, and I feel like I really do want to pick up where we left off because,
Okay.
um, because now I have other things that are going through my head. I'm thinking about the woman that is raped or sexually molested, and or the child that is molested, at that young age, that child that is molested. So I want to kind of touch on that too, because what is it in them, in that child's brain, or in that child's mind, or what was going on in that child's life or whatever, that could this same logic can be applied to that, where this person is showing up to show you who you are,
Oh, this
like,
is really good.
yeah,
So because yeah, that's gonna get into a sensitive topic, number one, and number two, it's gonna take some time to dissect it. So yeah, let's that has to be episode 4, so we're not rushed through it,
right,
because I
yeah,
really want to break it down. I really want to have some time with that. So let's make sure part 2, law of
mhm,
attraction. Why have I attracted this to myself? Let's do it.
right, okay, cool. We'll definitely do that. This was an incredible show, very insightful. I know we've had this conversation before, but even I'm understanding even more now what you're saying. The more I think about it, the more, like, every time, like, every time you started speaking, I started thinking of different situations that I'm either in or have been a part of, where I absolutely put the onus on the other person, saying, "You brought this to me. I didn't create the situation. You created the situation." And as I really sit and think about the emotions, not the actions, but when I think about the emotions, when I think about what I could have currently been going through, or what I'm currently going through now, that is causing people to show up in the way that they are showing up, it does make me it really does make me want to reevaluate some things, go a little bit deeper, and figure out how to start changing and growing to prevent certain things. I'm also though at a point where like I have no desire to not go against the grain. So then there's that side where I'm like, I just got to understand that that's what's just going to happen. Like it's people are going to go against me. I'm going to attract that because I'm not going to stop doing that.
So can I give you can I give you a different perspective of how to say, or a different terminology of different words to use it in
Okay.
versus that, because that words have energy too. So
Okay.
words carry energy, and that statement has the energy. Because
Okay.
when you say that statement, how does that make you feel?
What, going against the grain?
I'm gonna go against the grain. I want you to say it like you say
How
it.
does
I'm going against the grain, no matter what. How
it
does
make
that
me
feel?
feel? Empowered.
It makes you feel. That makes you
It,
feel empowered.
it makes me feel empowered and it makes me feel like a creator. It makes me feel like an individual. It makes me feel like I'm going to go do something the right way.
Okay.
And I'm going
So
to be able to present something new. Yeah, I feel like an innovator when I go against the grain.
we're gonna dig in that because you like surface stuff, and you don't like to really dig in. You like the prettier
No,
stuff.
I do like to dig, but I think
Okay,
that
that's fine. So why not say that? Why not say I'm empowered and I'm going to always continue to be empowered? Why not say I'm going to do it my way and it's okay for me to do it my way?
because
Because
that's
going
my
against the grain is giving your attention to someone else. And what I'm saying is, this is about you. It's
well,
about
see,
your empowerment. It's about your growth. It's about what you're doing. I mean, who cares what anybody else is thinking or doing? And so that going against the grain is pulling something else to the table that doesn't vibrate with you. If I'm going against the grain, that means I'm vibrating at them, they're vibrating at this way, and I'm paying attention that we're not vibrating at the same place, which means you're going to draw more things. It's not going to vibrate at the same place. And you're wondering why people are showing up that's not in vibration with you.
well, what I'm saying is, if I have to look at the landscape of things, for instance, let's take what, and we're gonna go ahead and end after this for real. But if let's go back to when I was in the music business. Okay, I looked at
Okay.
the landscape of music and I saw the way music was going.
Okay.
That was the grain.
Mhm.
I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to make music differently. So it's not that I'm taking the attention off of me. If I'm a part of something, I have to look at the landscape. I have to see exactly what's going on.
Right.
So that's just me acknowledging it. That's it. I'm acknowledging the fact that it exists. And then I have to decide what is going to be my next move. Do I want to do what everybody else is doing or do I want to do it differently? And that's always my decision to do it differently.
And I'm saying that that's a great decision. And I'm saying that I'm 100 with your decision. I'm the same way. I think Prince and those great artists did it the same way. They didn't do it the way everybody else did. I'm just saying, take the attention off. Going against the grain is, I mean, it's acknowledging that somebody else is doing it differently and they don't agree with what you're doing. What I'm saying is, who cares? Why am I giving my attention to who doesn't agree with it? I'm going to give my attention to those people that's rocking with me.
Okay, I
One,
see what you Yeah. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. You kind of know what you're talking about a little bit.
just a
So
little bit, a little
yeah,
bit.
just a little bit. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end this podcast now.
Yeah,
Because this woodpecker is determined to be a part of this podcast. But yeah, and who knows? Them next 2 weeks from now, of course, we're gonna have a continuation of this particular podcast. But who knows? 2 weeks from now, we may be talking about the metaphysical explanations for woodpeckers. So
I think we should do it. I think we should put it in our notes to at least go over it one time within that time of what message that woodpecker came to give you.
right, and the funny thing is, you people are probably hearing this and listening to that on a very surface level. But because of the conversation that you and I have, I know there's a much deeper explanation to a woodpecker, but not just woodpeckers, but animals, period.
Yeah.
Nature and the reason that they show up. The reason they show
Absolutely.
up. So so that is yeah, I think yeah, we'll put that down. We're definitely
Yeah,
gonna get to that. So
most definitely.
yeah.
So since we're gonna get out of here, those who are interested in growing and continuously growing, and are in a place and they feel like they want to continue, or they feel stuck and they want help, follow me on Instagram, DOCTDIVINE at Dr. Divine on Instagram, and inbox me if you want to work. Let's work, let's grow, let's become the best that we can be.
And if you want to go against the grain and you want to fight everybody, then you can find me at Relic Media on Instagram. No, no. Don't go to me. Go to her. Don't go to me. So, um, so okay. Also, actually, before we get out of here, don't you have some other things going on? Do you want to
I
just share those things?
do. Yes, I do. So we're in the process of we're having a big event. It is the we're having a hip hop fashion show, Live Out Loud. And the concept is just to be you, be your authentic self. And that's what we're talking about, being your authentic self. That is not until March 18th, 2023. We're going to bring Sydney Starr and as our special guest, and she's going to perform. It's a hip hop fashion show. We have a casting call on December 3rd. Models, artists, designers, photographers, videographers, makeup artists, and hairstylists. Now, I think the artist part is closed. I think I got all the artists that I need. I'm still accepting designers. I think I need three more. Without my notes, I think I'm taking three more designers, and a few more makeup artists. So it's closing. So if anybody's interested, if you're a makeup artist, hairstylist, a designer, um, model, December 3rd. Look on my Instagram page, go to my Instagram page, the flyers there, inbox me your information, name, phone number, email address, and what you do. And I'll be in contact with you, and hopefully we'll see you at the casting call on December 3rd. All the information is on the flyer.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Thank
and
you.
what'd you say?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, and we're gonna keep on reminding y'all about this stuff too, all the way up until March of 2023. So,
Absolutely. Well, it's not that long. I mean, well, we got a couple of months, and the casting call will be here before you know it.
right,
And it's
and that's
and it's going fast where people are contact. So eventually, I have to close it off. But so if you're interested, contact me as soon as possible. We're getting an overwhelming response, and it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see that everybody wants to be a part. But it is really about you being your authentic self, living out loud, whatever that means to you. And that's why we're bringing Cindy Star in, because she decided that she's going to be who she is no matter what, and look at her success from doing that. So we want to send that message. Just be you, whatever that is. Who cares what people think about it or who they think you should be? Just be you.
mhm,
And that's enough. That's more than enough. And it will lead you to your success. So I'm going to leave
right,
it there.
right. Definitely will. Okay, and for everybody listening, please do not be afraid to ask why. Y'all take care.